Are you committed to keep the IRGC on the foreign terrorist organization list, even if that means that kills the deal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You, in the past, said you'll do anything, and you say it again, that you'll ensure Iran would not acquire nuclear weapons. Does that also mean, sir, that you would use force against Iran? Is that what that means? If needed?
That was the last resort, yes.
Mm-hmm. And
that was President Biden on Israeli TV last night, America. I'm Hugh at Inside the Beltway, joined by Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, who has been working hard to not just say good words about defending Israel, but to put in place the Defense Act, which will defend Israel. Good morning, Senator Ernst. Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Hey, great to be with you, Hugh.
First, let's talk about what the president said last night. I welcome that. No IRGC coming off of the list. I welcome his commitment to use force if necessary to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Second question, do you believe him?
Well, that's yet to be seen. This president, of course, went into this Middle East trip from a position of weakness, and his foreign policy doctrine has literally been one of appeasement. So we do know that Iran is the threat in the Middle East, and this administration has now finally admitted it. But how many times have we seen the president's administration walk back what the president has said? So he should be using this trip as an opportunity to really dig in, show a little bit of leadership, really advance our Abraham Accords, and, of course, as he did say, push back on Iranian aggression.
Now, you have authored the Defend Act. Tell people what it is and why we hope it gets bipartisan support and moves to the House quickly.
Yes, this is a bicameral, bipartisan act. It brings all of those countries of the Abraham Accords together and a few additional friends and partners in the Middle East, and it works on a collaborative effort to tie together military defense systems. So I think it's a good thing, the Defend Act. It's supported by many of those countries in the Abraham Accords, and again, it's bipartisan, bicameral, and I'm hoping that the president will pick up on this act and really get behind it, show these countries that we want to work together and make sure they stay strong against Iran.
That would require the Biden administration to change its policy of the first 18 months, which has been to defund the Department of Defense and undefend the United States. I only promote myself once an hour, Senator, but last night I was on with Bill Hemmer sitting in for Brett Stevens, and I brought up the inflation number and the recently passed Defense Authorization Act. I want to play that clip for you and then get your comments on the pay raise. Okay, let's play cut number, I think
Hugh, kick it off. What are we and what is this president in for in the months and potentially years to come?
Well, anyone who's under the age of 62, which includes everybody but me on this panel, Bill, do not remember what this is like. When I got out of college in 1978, inflation was 7.6%. 1979, it went to 11.3%. And in 1980 it went to 13.5. If you're young and just going into the workforce, or you're old and on a fixed income, inflation destroys your ability to make a living. And what it also does is destroy a president and a party, and the Democrats are going to get wiped out. It takes a Reagan, it takes a Republican Congress to cut spending, cut taxes in the states and at the federal level, because right now people are going through something they've never gone through before. Folks on Social Security got a 5.6% COLA. That's already gone. And the military pay raise in the budget this year, 4.6%. We already heard 9.1% year over year. It's a disaster for the country. So, Joni Ernst, 4.6%. I mean, we're going to cut every service member's pay?
Yeah, that is what we're looking at. And everybody would say, wow, 4.6%. Wow, that's a huge increase in their pay. But we know with a 9.1% inflation rate, their pay is not keeping up with the cost of the goods that they have to purchase for their families, everyday living, the gas at the pump. This is crazy. And yet the Democrats and the Biden administration are talking about pushing another reckless tax and spend bill, which would not only increase taxes on nearly every tax bracket out there, but it continues to fan the flames of inflation. I don't know what they're thinking. I think they're hoping that if we hand out a bunch more free money to folks across the United States, that maybe they would support them in the election. But you know what? Americans aren't that stupid. They see that we can't continue to spend like this, especially on stuff we don't need. Let's focus on why our federal government was created. That's the defense of our nation primarily, and that means making sure that our service members are able to get by.
Now, Senator, President Biden, the Democrats want to forgive student debt, and that will go to rich kids and woke people and their voters. They want to subsidize insurance premiums for their voters, but they don't want to get the military pay, at least so it doesn't go down in real terms. Do they actually talk to you about that? They are giving the American military a pay cut. These are the people who put their lives on the line.
Yeah,
a pay cut.
Absolutely. And when we talk about giving, like forgiving student loan debt, I reminded a Democratic colleague of mine. I said, you know what? My brother didn't have the opportunity to go to school. He went out of high school straight into the workforce. He works as a blue-collar laborer. And he would be paying to forgive the student loans of rich kids who were able to go to school. And she was like, wow, I hadn't thought about that. I'm like, no, you didn't think about it. But there are a lot of folks that work really hard to put themselves through school. There are folks like my brother that went straight into the workforce out of high school. And those folks shouldn't be paying for debt incurred by others that can pay it off on their own. So certainly this is something we're pushing back on, but bringing it back to the military, you know, our military members go through so much through family separations. They get deployed all around this globe. They go off and they live in hellholes. You know, they go through a lot, and it is an insult when our administration keeps proposing lower top lines for our military, which impacts their pay and benefits. We can't keep up with inflation, and yet they're making all these goodies available to those that not only aren't actively out there supporting their nation, but they're often those that are decrying our nation.
I want to bring people up to speed what a BHA, basic housing allowance. Now, I'm a civilian. I just learned about this secondhand. The BHA does not keep up with rent. So if you get sent to San Diego, you're screwed. If you get sent to Virginia Beach, you're screwed. If you get sent to Florida, you're screwed. I mean, maybe if you're in the 10th Mountain Division or up in Alaska, you might be able to. But in New York, and you're probably screwed there because of property taxes. But that doesn't keep up. Then they have to move around, so their kids change schools all the time, and there are additional hidden costs of moving. Then husbands and wives deploy, and mom or dad is doing all this stuff themselves, and we can't keep the pay up. Now, the Defense Authorization Act plussed up the budget, $45 billion, I believe, in the Senate version. Senator Inhofe tweeted out, are you an optimist about getting this done, getting it authorized? Because the military's all screwed up if it operates on continuing resolutions. We need to get this passed, and then an appropriations bill passed.
Wow, you put it into a nutshell, Hugh. You are spot on. There's so much that we need to get done. I am optimistic that we can get this done. The Democrats are short a couple people. Leader Schumer is out this week. So we're not actually moving on the NDAA in the Senate right now. We're not bringing it up on the floor of the Senate. We should be doing that. Every time they are short people, it seems all we do is low-level nominees. But we've got to get this done. You're absolutely correct. If we continue to do continuing resolutions, that means we're not able to update the training that our troops receive. We're not able to move into new equipment that the troops need. So there are a lot of implications to a continuing resolution. The NDAA needs to be a priority. Let's do this before we start working on some reckless tax and spend bill. We shouldn't be doing that. What we should be doing, again, going back to why our federal government was founded, its first priority is for national defense. We should be focusing on that.
Last question, Senator Ernst. 9.1% inflation hits a lot of people. I think it's higher for farmers. Am I right about that? Because fertilizer's gone through the roof?
Yeah, absolutely. The inflation rate, if you look towards middle America, it does hurt our farmers more. It hurts those that live towards the middle of the country much more. The inputs that farmers are using, you mentioned the fertilizer costs. You can also take a look at the diesel costs that it takes for all the farmers to get into the fields. Those inputs have gone skyrocketing this year, and it will continue to impact in upcoming years. They're paying much, much more. I've had so many folks say, oh, commodity prices are high, and I have to turn around and say, yeah, but the inputs are so much more. Many of our farmers will be lucky to break even this year, especially our smaller farmers, because they just don't have the scale of some of the larger farmers.
Yeah, Brett Baird did a piece last night on the food crisis, and I'll tell you, it's the most fiscally irresponsible Congress in American history. And they're spending money in the most ridiculous ways, and they're not defending the country. But Joni, Ernst, you're doing your job for everyone out there. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep coming back.
You betcha. God bless you, Hugh.
Thank you.